This is the Google Pixel Watch, and I've been using it for the last 2 days, and I want to give you guys my initial impressions on it and share some things I like and dislike about the watch. So let me get started and give you a quick explanation that while I did make a video about this watch almost 2 weeks ago, I only actually started using it 2 days ago because I was traveling and I just didn't have time to get the watch set up and starting to use it. So I did that earlier in the week, and I've been using it for the last 2 days, and I have a couple of observations about it. So let me start off and talk about physically. I do find that, you know, the one-piece glass, so this is entire thing, the glass just wraps around and there's one uniform seam completely around the watch. That is incredibly good looking, but against contrary and popular opinion, I don't like this design. I think that it looks too basic. It looks very simple, and I mean, I know that I'm one of the people who love simple designs, but I think this is just too simple. There's no identity to it, and this black actually hides everything there is to about it. I mean, it has a stainless steel body. It's got, you know, it's got a lot going for it, but this design just, I don't think works for it. So I personally am not a fan of the design, but that's not something that's very objective. That's a very subjective matter of fact. So let me go ahead and talk about the one thing about the design that is subjective, and that is that it is way too small. So I'm just gonna put this on my wrist here. And also I do wanna say this band is very annoying. It's got 2 loops you gotta set into it. So it is hard to sometimes put the watch on, especially if you're trying to do it on camera when you would want to do it smoothly and quickly. But it is something you'll probably get used to, but I do find it annoying. So let me put it on my hand, and as you guys can see, it just looks way too small on my hand. Here's my Apple Watch. This is the 45 millimeter for comparison. You guys can just see this watch is way too small. Google really should have had 2 sizes for this. Just one size does not work, especially given the round design. It looks even smaller. A 45 or a 46 millimeter option should have definitely been considered. I have no idea why Google didn't do it. That's definitely something they should be looking at for the next generation of this watch. The next thing that I am quite surprised by is the fact that the display resolution is actually not that great. And it's especially apparent on the always-on display mode, which I find to have some very low resolution. I think maybe that might just be to save battery, that the screen resolution gets lower, but it just doesn't look good. Let's talk about the next thing that I found while using it, and that is that the speaker volume is actually pretty low on this, especially when using the Google Assistant. So let me just go ahead and ask a quick question. How far is New York from Boston?
It is 215 miles to get to New York from Boston by car.
Okay, that's the Google Pixel Watch. Let me just ask my Apple Watch. How far is it from New York to Boston?
Boston, Massachusetts, the United States, is about 215 miles from New York, the United States by car.
That was about twice as loud, and I'm not even kidding. I'm not exaggerating. That is definitely a big difference I noticed right off the bat. Let's talk about something else. I do like, you know, there are a couple of really clean and sleek designs when it comes to these watch faces, but I feel like they definitely need more. I haven't explored third-party watch faces yet. There's only these couple, you know, this one, I think, they don't really do a good job of showing off the screen, right? This is a watch face that does not even go to the edges of the screen. It just, you know, it's leaving so much black space. It doesn't look good in my opinion. They should be pushing it because it looks like all this is bezel. Now this is not the only watch face. There are a couple of other watch faces, but personally, yeah, this one pushes it more to the edge so you guys can see. The display really, I mean, it is a circular display, but having used the Samsung Galaxy watches, this definitely feels like it is a step down in terms of the bezel sizing and everything. And as I said, definitely needs a little bit more in terms of customization with the watch faces and having a variety. Another thing I'd really like the watch to improve is that it does seem to stutter sometimes. There are times when it just feels choppy, it doesn't go as smooth, and of course right now it's working great, but there were many times, okay, you guys might have seen that, you know, there are many times where the software really does lag, like right there. As you guys see, it doesn't feel perfectly smooth. So I don't know if that's a software thing or if the hardware in this is just underperforming, but it's something definitely that I would like to see improvements on. And let's also talk about one thing that was particular to me. And as you guys might have noticed, when I started this video, I wasn't wearing the watch. And that's because I was wearing the watch the whole day, and it actually made this part of my skin quite red, and it also was super itchy. Now, I'm not sure why that happened, and I'm not sure if it's just because there was something going on with my skin today, or it's not if there's something wrong with this and it's making me feel uncomfortable with it, but I'm gonna keep trying it out. I'll put a video up on screen if you guys don't believe me about that rash. It was super uncomfortable after a while. My skin is back to normal now. I've had it off for about 30 minutes or so at this point, so it's kind of back to normal, so I will be putting the watch back on, but that is something that I am a bit, let's just say, disappointed by. So overall, I am not impressed by the watch so far. It really, as much as I've loved the Pixel 7 Pro, I've kind of been not a big fan of the watch. Now, is there no potential for this? No, absolutely not. I'm not saying it's all bad, but right off the bat, the first initial impression hasn't been positive. So I'm going to continue using it. One of the things that has been quite interesting to me is that it has Fitbit integration. Fitbit was well known for their fitness tracking, so I will be using it more to track fitness and get back to you guys in a later review about how I feel about that. And also I will be tracking sleep as well and comparing it to a much more in-depth app I have for my Apple Watch that I use. So let's see how that compares. But at this point, that's all I have for the Google Pixel Watch. That's my experience for the last 2 days. Let me know if you guys have any questions or comments about the watch. And if you've been using this watch, I'd love to know how you felt about it so far. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll catch you in the next one.